Look, perhaps one of the biggest battles that's going to take place at training camp is finding a second safety. And if you're looking at the screen right now, you kind of seeing our top four usual suspects in this, or maybe we bring in a free agent. But just overall looking at it, this is a situation where I feel like the Saints are about ready to find themselves in a damned if they do or damned if they don't situation. This one's very potentially scary. We're definitely going to talk about it. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So, kind of the four guys sitting on the Saints roster right now, um, June 24th, when I'm filming this, is Jordan Howden, who was a rookie last year, Jonathon Abrams, former first round pick by the Raiders in 2019, I believe. Never really worked out with the Raiders. 2022, he was with the Raiders, he was with Green Bay and Seattle. So kind of all of a sudden he's a journeyman. We brought him in last year, re-signed him again this year because last year he was just on a 1 year deal. We did bring in a younger safety in Will Harris, safety slash corner. Uh, been with Detroit for about 5 years. He's an interesting study, and we'll get to him in a second. And one of the guys that's actually making a lot of noise in all this is an undrafted free agent out of TCU in Millard Bradford. So that's kind of the four we're looking at. And you bring up Howden, and it really was kind of a roller coaster rookie year for him. But as a fifth round pick, and I think, I mean, he really wasn't expected to get thrown in the fire like he was. But we had issues with Marcus May, who we didn't bring back, so he was kind of trial under fire. And when you look at his season, it definitely was a roller coaster. But and this is his total snaps right here by position. Most of his playing time was at free safety. Did get some runs at strong safety and slot corner. I think that was particularly when Alante Taylor was struggling a little bit on the inside. They were trying to find an answer. His snap count, because that's basically what I pulled up here, is the snap count, and then the column all the way on the right, I sorted it by the highest grades that PFF gave him, which were New England, and this is the one. This is really the reason why I did this, because in Week 16 against the Rams, that freaking debacle of a game, we just won't talk about it except to mention there was two guys that caught my eye. One of them was real obvious. They were both rookies. A.T. Perry balled out in that game. So did this guy. And until I just pulled up the research a little bit to go, let me look at his game by game, and pulled up the PFF, pleasantly surprised to see that was the second highest grade he had with meaningful snaps. Even when you're talking about total in the game is 70. That's starter snaps playing an awful lot. And we were getting trucked in that game on offense. And he made me notice coming up at times, seems like the only guy of the 11 on the field that kind of had a clue of what he was doing and was in effect making a few plays, but he wasn't getting destroyed like a lot of the other guys were that as veterans shouldn't have happened, but it did. I think the roller coaster is just the fact that he's a guy that at times was probably just a little over his skis as a true rookie, getting, that's a trial by fire. It's like all of a sudden the supposed starter just isn't around much for various reasons. Get in there, Rook. Let's see what you can do. He fought through it. I think he's the best chance, and I know they like him. He's probably the best chance of these four to have a chance to come out and win the job. And yeah, I'm not even going to, no spoiler alert or anything. I think he's got the inside track. However, he is coming off a roller coaster rookie years, so not exactly all that warm and fuzzy right now, but Still have training camp coming. Still an opportunity for him to if you look at those top 3 or 4, kind of fall in that area consistently, and he winds up on the back end at free safety because he's probably of the 4 also most suited to play free safety. And I think Honey Badger has to be in the box at this point in his career. I think he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. But I would say it's kind of tenuous at best. And you go to Jonathon Abrams. This is his snap count with the Saints last year and where he played. Strong safety, played a little free safety against the Giants, but I mean, that was only really 2 snaps. So that, just sounds like, hey, emergency, get out there till Howden or whoever was back there got back in the game. But his meaningful snaps more or less came at strong safety. When he was getting starter or primary backup type snaps, there's a couple games where he did on defense. I don't think he played particularly well. Didn't play flat out awful. But if you're talking about, hey, challenge, and his name has come up a lot, challenging about, hey, he has a chance to be the starter. It looks primarily at strong safety, and I'm pretty sure that's what he was drafted for by the Raiders, and that's where they kept trying to play him. And like I said, it never really worked out there. I mean, if you're doing that, then you're putting Honey Badger on the back end, and I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. I think Abram is what Abram is. Abrams a special teams guy to help out there, and just some depth at safety that think all along they were hoping maybe we can get that potential that everybody saw in him when they were projecting him as the first round pick and the Raiders took him. And maybe this coaching staff can find it and pull it out of him. But with his previous years, and especially what he did last year, is really the only thing on his resume. Long shot, very much a long shot. If he can play himself into that, and if he does, will he be able? Will he be able to help? Now, Will Harris is a free agent we signed from Detroit. This is an interesting one. He's only had 1 year in 2021 as a full-time starter in the secondary, and I believe that was his 3rd year. And in those games, he had 7 at free safety, 2 at strong safety, 4 at slot corner, 4 at outside corner. He's mainly known for tackling ability. He's a very good tackler, a very low missed tackle rate, and he does amass solos and assists throughout his playing time. He's not a machine where he's going to throw up 100 plus for you every year, but he gets good numbers. And that comes in with he's primarily known for a fairly solid run defense, but shaky pass defense. He's carved out kind of a role as a very good special teams player along the way, and also carved out a role as he's the DB Detroit kind of early in his career, and then he got the shot in 2021. And I think there was a lot of injuries back there that contributed to that for his full time, and why he also moved around so much as a full-time starter. But that's one of the roles he's carved out. Is like one of those guys coming off the bench, special teamer, but hey, we can fill him in anywhere. And I think it's kind of like when he's on a limited snap basis, he can come in and do what Scott and I talk about all the time. When you are in that reserve role and you're called upon, you got to be that guy. And it may only be 10, 15, 20 snaps, nowhere near starter snap, nowhere near primary backup snaps, but you're going to get some. And when you're in there and you get him, you got to be the guy. And I think that's kind of where he falls into. So if it's limited, he's going to give you some very good quality snaps, especially in the run game. And it's reputation wise, and the numbers kind of back it up when you go look at his missed tackle rate. He gets anywhere near the ball carrier and get his hands on him, the guy's going down. So there's a lot of value in that, but I don't know if you're talking about a guy that you're going to be starting at safety. Again, there may be some potential there that this coaching staff can draw out of him. And he's got a lot of experience at free safety because that's also, besides the 7 starts he had there in 2021, If you go through his charts for all the year, he got some play back there. But he's also got play on corner, probably more on corner overall in his career, in slot corner than the two safety positions. But he does have quite a bit of experience there. Could be a guy, could be the dark horse candidate on this, that like coaching staff gets with him and sees something that they can grow into a starter, especially clearing up that shaky pass defense and get that stronger with a good run game and a very good tackling ability. Maybe he is your back end guy, but like I said, I think he's the long shot, but not quite as long as this guy. Now, however, Millard Bradford, everybody has to have heard about him because he's been turning heads in mini camps and OTAs. Basically, it seems like since he walked out there, he was an undrafted free agent safety out of TCU. Not the biggest guy in the world at 5'11", 190, but I mean, it's not like he's a tiny little water bug running out there. I mean, he's a solid guy, but it may not quite be ideal size, but he make up for it because by all accounts, and this is found some pre-draft stuff on him right after we signed him as the undrafted free agent. That kind of was some head turning stuff because like 4.3 speed in the 40, very explosive guy. Seems to be a playmaker. Seems to be a guy that can get around the ball real quick, make some stuff happen. And that's what it sounds like he was doing in OTAs with some picks, kind of just being all over the place. And as Dennis Allen says, their job is to they have to make the coaching staff notice him. By all accounts, he accomplished that job doing the offseason program so far. He had heads turning and spinning all over the place, but the media, especially when they got glimpses of him on the days when they were allowed to attend and he was out there doing his thing, there's a lot of gaping and gawking about it. I don't know if you would ever think about taking an undrafted free agent that, I mean, I don't mean this in a mean way. Nobody wanted, in the sense that he wasn't drafted, but we locked on to him. Maybe he is a guy that's can just show up and go, hey, I'm going to make plays back there. And if he does that, hell, I don't see the problem with him winning the starting job. But at the same time, TCU luckily is that's a Power 5 program. They had a hell of a team 2 years ago, and he was there part of it. So I wouldn't say he's a guy not being exposed to a high level competition. He dabbled in it. He's seen it. He's had at least in 2022 a go at seeing Michigan and Georgia, especially in the college playoffs, playing against and looking at a bunch of guys that were going to be on an NFL roster, and a lot of them are right now. So the darkest of dark horses, because he's the long shot with extremely high odds, but fast playmaker, turning heads type guy in OTAs. I think he's going to be given a shot. I don't know what he can do with it, but I it sounds like they would like to get him on the roster, and they'd like to find some space and or get him into space to play and go out and make some plays on defense. And if you're not going to have one of those four win the job, then you're no choice at that point to look at the available free agents. And there's another problem. Okay. Top 4 on that list, and Justin Simmons by far is the top guy, all 30 plus. So you got some age there. Whole point of one of the things you wanted to do on defense is get younger and more athletic. And I don't know if those 4 guys on the top of this list are really going to help you do that. I feel like a Marcus May, Jarius Byrd type situation if you throw, because the whole reason why they're sitting here, they want money. And the NFL, again, I know I've talked about this before. There's no such thing as collusion in the NFL. Yeah, right. But these are 4 of the guys who If they were still throwing huge contracts to every safety out there, they would have already signed a tremendously big deal. It seems like, okay, I'm going to say it. There's collusion going on to keep some of these guys where they are. And so put them in a position around training camp when teams start calling and looking for them. They may be willing to come down. I know some of the safeties that were on this list that have just signed recently, including Marcus May. Yeah, their asking price seems to have come way down to be able to sign a contract and get in a club. The fifth guy is Jamaal Addams, only 28. He's a younger version. And we all know how good of a safety he is. An ability to play in the box and out the box or deep, free safety, handling the back end. Problem there. 10 games in his last 2 years with Seattle. Stacking up in the 2 seasons before that, I think he played somewhere around 11 or 12 games each year. These were smaller, not quite season enders like he had to deal with the last 2 years. He stacked up he would be another, if you brought him in, he would be another of our defensive backs that have stacked up some injuries over the last 2 or 3, 4 years that you've got to go, what's left in that tank? I don't know the answer to that one. You wouldn't know really till you brought him in and threw him out there. And so it would have to be on a really team-friendly prove-it deal. Maybe you could do that from New Orleans, coming home. Let me get one shot with the Saints, prove I can do it, and then maybe I'll get the big contract a la Willie Gay and Chase Young. Who knows? But even if you get him in and do that, can you get 17 games out of him? Your guess is as good as mine. So this is what I'm saying, that this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because trying to stay in-house with the 3 or 4 players we might be able to get into that second safety spot. Come week 1 or week 2, the experiment doesn't work and you're stuck. And then what are you doing there? Are you going to this list, or do you go to this list now or before training camp starts? Or just having to pay a chunk of money? I mean, they just freed up some money with salary, or some salary with some moves that they just made on some contract reworks. Maybe that's the reason why. But again, and Scott brought this up a couple weeks ago. Oh, you're just feeling like a Marcus May, Jarris Bird, and there's been others, but that's the 2 really that you're just going, yeah, we wasted a lot of money with no production. And that could be a risk here. What the answer to this is, I don't have the foggiest clue. So there you have it. Like I said, I've kind of drawn the line on Howden. I think that's what I'm leaning to. Of leader in the clubhouse, could win the job, might be where we're going in this whole scenario. If you agree, give me a thumbs up. Let me know about it. If you don't, tell me who it is. Could be Bradford. I'd probably be my second guess, but it starts getting worrisome, even trying to sort through these names. So I'm kind of worried about it. I really am, about who's going to wind up with the second job. So if it isn't Howden, or even if it is Howden, and y'all have anything that's going to make me feel better about this whole situation, whether it's going into the free agent pool and finding something, or giving me something I missed on the 4 guys in house, where I can just go, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. We'll be okay, because right now I think we're on shaky ground. So that's all I have for today. It's a scary one, and I don't like the scary ones, but this one's scary. So help me out in the comments. Give me some good news. Until the next time I see you, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?